Happy Sunday, friends. How are you? It's me, New York vocalist Benita Charles, for another episode of Singing Tips. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. We are at the end of the weekend. It's Sunday night. So I'm back for another episode of Singing Tips. Today is a show that I wanted to highlight a recent... Hi, Joe. Thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate you coming in to Singing Tips Live. My name is Benita Charles. Every week I come in and I give singing tips to beginner singers, people who want to perform, a performance career. But also a lot of these tips are life tips and can apply to any business or any profession career. So we have a lot of people who aren't artists who find value from the tips that I give. And a lot of the tips are marketing business related, so it can apply to any career. But this show is specifically designed for artists. And hi, Gordon. Thanks so much for coming in. And a lot of the tips are performance-based, based on my experience and from things that I've observed and learned from other people. And things that are business related, because as an artist, not only do you have the performance side, but you also have the business side as well. So that's the reason why I designed this show for artist development tips. Because a lot of times, like in my training in school, we focused on performance, we focused on techniques, but there wasn't an emphasis on the other part of the art, which is how do you make money from your art. And there's a lot of components to it. So that's why I started this show, really, as for artist development tips. But today is the show. It's about performance, because I had a recent performance with Preacher Man and the Revival on last Friday, July 12th, at a venue in Queens called Blackhorn 51. The venue is metal, heavy metal, hip hop kind of venue, and our band is a funk, soul, but it has rock influences as well. So believe it or not, it was a good fit. Oh, hi, hello, King Mike. Thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate all of your kind words. And so it really was a good fit with the group Butter Brain. It was their EP release party, and they're heavy metal influenced rock band. They have horns. It's a huge band. They have horn section, they have rhythm section. So it gives a great sound. They do so that their music is it's really fun. Like, it's very, very festive. They had a lot of other artists there. They had hip hop artists. They had metal influenced artists. They had hip hop metal, infused, where they have that in their music. So it was a really interesting mix of artists. And the set that we chose was more of our rock inspired songs, and so it really was awesome. But I had some lessons from the performance that I want to share with you guys. So the first thing is, number one, you have to take risks, because Preacher Man at the last minute lost one of his musicians due to an emergency. So he didn't have a guitar player, and his keyboardist was new and hadn't rehearsed with the band. So he had a decision to make. He had to decide whether he wanted to just cancel the gig or move forward. And he made an executive decision to move forward and just perform. And it paid off. Hi, Kevin. Thanks. Oh, Ernesto, God bless you. Thanks so much for coming in. It paid off. We knocked it out the park. Considering the keyboard player was his first performance with the band, it was awesome, and it was a good move. And it just goes to show that sometimes you have to step out on faith and take a risk and do it anyway. Even if the odds are, hi, Auntie, thanks so much for coming in. Even if the odds are against you, sometimes you have to step out in faith and just go for it. And Preacher Man decided that despite losing his guitarist at the last minute, despite the fact that his piano player hadn't performed with the band, and that was the first time he was performing on stage, he decided to just do the show. And that was a really good move. For one thing, we had a whole lot of people who had never seen us perform see us for the first time. Another thing is it worked. You know, the musicians made it work, and Preacher Man made it work, and it was a great move. I was so proud of him because personally, I don't know if I would have done that. You know, I would have felt like, oh, well, you know, we need to practice. But, you know, when you have professional musicians and then when you have people who have worked together for years, it worked. And it was a really good move. And people really enjoyed our set, even despite all of that. So imagine if we had the full band, you know, but people loved it. And I didn't even sing a solo that performance. I just did background, and people were saying they liked my voice. So it just goes to show you that, you know, you just have to step out on faith, do your best, and the best will come back to you. The second thing is always bring your A game. There was a band that stood out to me because, for one thing, this isn't my type of music that I would just gravitate to and listen to. But there was a band that performed last at the end of the night, and their name was Concrete Dreams. This band, let me just get the name, the kind of music. So the band is described as a hip-hop, EDM, hardcore metal crossover project. So, that being said, they blew me away. I'm just going to tell you, for one thing, it was three gentlemen. There was a guitarist, a bass player, a drummer, and a rapper. And they just, well, for one thing, they just were so professional. Like, they seemed like they were a band that's out, like a A-list band, like a band that's signed and out. So they carried themselves a certain way. And the drummer to me stood out because he would twirl his sticks in between playing. So he would be playing, and then he would twirl the sticks and he would play. And it was just like, wow. It was so amazing. They were just so tight. And so I have written down here. So they were last, but you would have thought they were like the headliner. The way they just brought it. You know, they had energy. The rapper, you know, his vocals mixed in with the music, and it was like rock, hip hop. It was really awesome. So I had a chance to speak to the drummer after the show, and he told me that they've been working for 2 years. They're signed to an independent label, so it showed. I mean, they just looked like they were. Also, they announced on stage that they have a song that's coming out on a next Netflix show. So they have a song, and then they've been trending. A lot of their music has been trending on Spotify. But it was just it was inspiring just to see. And another thing that the drummer said was that he was performing as if there was 1,000 people out there. And that's the way I do too. Like I don't look at like if it's a small crowd, it doesn't throw me off. I perform for whoever's there, and he said the same thing. And you can tell because they had like a spotlight on him, and he just was bringing it. So it was as an artist, like it was really inspiring to see that. First of all, that's not even my type of music. So for me to just be in awe and win me over, that says a lot and it also says a lot about, and I've said this in the past, the power. Sorry about that. I had a call. A good song is a good song So it doesn't matter what kind of, because I was talking to Ed about this not too long ago as well, that I don't like country music, but if it's a good song, there are country songs that I like, and it's not the type of music I gravitate to, but a good song is a good song, and they just prove that you just have to put your best foot out there, perform as if there's thousands of people, do your best, and it will pay up. It will pay up. I'm sorry, I had a distraction here. Oh, sorry. But so it just was amazing to see, just to see that level of professionalism, and then to find out that they are signed to an independent label. They have music that's out there. They have an EP out. They're trending on Spotify. So it showed. And also, like, there were a lot of different artists there, and you could see the levels of where people were at, because there was a group called the Dead Crew, and they were very professional. Like, they had their merchandise on, had their t-shirts, they had their hats. So it just shows the level of where people were. Then they had people who just seemed like, oh, they just got on stage and they just did something. But always bring your A game, and it was a perfect example. And this was an EP for somebody else, and they were performing as if they were like at a rock concert. I'm talking about this group called Concrete Dream that I saw at Blackhorn 51. And these are just some things, highlights from the show. The third point is you have to put yourself out there and network. If we didn't go to this, we wouldn't have met these great artists, and we made some new fans. We had some people sign our mailing list. But the point is, if we weren't there, we wouldn't have met those people. And that, just to show you, like, that band could be a snooty and say, well, I'm not going to perform at something like this, but they perform at wherever they, because I was looking at their website, and they have other EP performances that they're parties that they're performing at, and other things. So they perform at a variety of different their own shows, and then other people's shows, because sometimes when you perform at someone else's show, you can capture people who wouldn't normally see you, it's not normally in your realm of people who would see you. So that's a good point too. Just perform. They perform everywhere, so you have to do that. So just to recap what I was saying, this is a highlights from our Blackhorn 51 show in Queens. It was an EP party for a group called Butterbrain, and they're a really great group. Like, their set was really fun. They have a horn section too. It's like metal, like rock metal, but they have a horn section which makes the sound really interesting and big, and it's just a huge band. But so that it was their EP party, and they had other artists come on and perform. And that's another point too. I didn't write that down, but that's another point, that if you have an event, it's good to ask other people to join you in your event, because they can bring their crowd, and it just makes a bigger event. So that's a bonus point. I'll go over the other points. That's a bonus point to bring in other people to your event, because that way you get more people coming to your event, and you meet new people. You meet new people, that fans that may not know of you or have heard of you by doing that. So that's a really great thing. So if you're just coming in, my name is Benita Charles. This is Singing Tips Live. I come on every week. I give singing tips, which is artist performance tips, to beginner singers to help them become professional, to take them to the next level. But also, a lot of these tips are universal. So whatever profession you're in, you can find value from these tips. These are lessons that I learned from the show that we performed with Preacher Man in the Revival at Blackhorn 51. It was an EP release party from a group called Butter Brain. And they invited a lot of artists to come on to their show to open for them. We actually performed after Butter Brain, and also Concrete Dream was after us. So they were the last act of the night, and they really closed it out. Like they shut it down. It was awesome. Yeah, exactly, Auntie. Everybody wins with combined talent. As I said before, this is not my type of music. You know, guys, you know I am smooth R&B. I like jazz, smooth R&B. My original songs is laid back. This is totally opposite of my music. This is heavy metal, punk, you know, yelling, screaming, you know, hard edge, rock, hip hop. But it was cool. It was really, and also that's another thing. Expose yourself to other things. You know, you don't have to just stay in your realm. You can learn from other forms of music. Like, you know, it was really great for me to just, I wouldn't have normally done that, just to be honest with you. I wouldn't normally just gravitate to a punk rock venue. But it was great because I was exposed to something different. I could bring that to my music. You know, you never know. You have to open yourself up to other things. And I met some great musicians. I saw some great music. As an artist, it was awesome. And I was inspired by, you know, a lot of the artists, how professional they were, how they were stage present, you know, what they brought on stage. And it was just great. It was a great experience. So the first thing is you have to take risks. If I explained before, Preacher Man lost one of his musicians at the last minute due to an emergency, his guitarist. So, and also he had a new keyboard player that had not practiced with the band. So he had a decision to make. He could have decided that, oh, you know what, forget it, we're not going to do the gig. But he made an executive decision, and he decided that he was going to take the risk and he was going to put it out there and he was just going to see what happens. That's just the type of person he is, though. If you guys know Preacher Man, he is the opposite of me. He takes risks, he takes chances. I like to practice, I like rehearsals. I probably would have felt like, oh, you know what? But he took that chance, and I'm proud of him because we knocked it out the park. He told the audience what happened. You know, he told the audience, you know, normally I would have my guitarist, but here we are. And they did War Pigs. Now, if you guys know War Pigs, that song, I think it's Led Zeppelin is the artist, if I'm not mistaken. But that is a guitar-driven song. You really need the guitar. So he did it with keyboard, bass, and drums. So, but it worked. He pulled it off. The audience loved it because they love that song. They know that song. They were singing the words. But it was a song he had to do because it was a perfect song for that venue, and it worked. So it was a lesson for me. Hey, sometimes you just have to take that chance and you just have to put it out there and you just have to do it. Number 2, always bring your A game. I was impressed by the last band that went on after us called Concrete Dreams. Let's see, I have a description here. They are a hip hop, EDM, hardcore metal crossover band. So they incorporate all those qualities in their music, and it was really great. Like, they had a rapper, and he, you know, was rapping to the music, and the guitarist and the drummer, the rhythm section was tight, and the bass, I think it was bass player. Yeah, they had a guitarist, a bass player. The bass player was the singer, so he would sing background, and he would yell, and it was so. And then the drummer, he would twirl his sticks in the midst of his playing, and it was just like, wow. I mean, I felt like I was at a real rock concert, and it wasn't as many people there. A lot of people had left, but they played as if they were playing in front of a stadium. It was just amazing, and I had a chance to speak to the drummer after the show because I was just so impressed with his playing. And he told me that the band had been together for 2 years. They're signed to an independent label. They have music that's going to be coming out on a Netflix program. I'm sorry, I don't have the name of the program. But they also are trending on Spotify. So they're starting to get some play. But he said they have been working for 2 years. So this, not an overnight success. But you could tell that they are so tight, and they work hard, and it was inspiration for me that you have to work hard and you have to bring your A game no matter what you do, no matter who you perform, because there may be, let's say there's 5 people in the audience, but one of those persons could know someone that could help you. One of those persons one of those people could be someone that can take you to the next level, or know someone. So always do your best, and that was a great lesson for me. I mean, that's just kind of what I do anyway. Nobody has to tell me that I'm that way. Because he said that he was playing as if there was 1,000 people out there, and I said I totally agree. I do the same thing. Always do your best. It doesn't matter how many or who's in the audience. I just give it what I'm going to give it, and I love that, and that's my motto as well. So it was just really cool to see that. Number 3, you have to put yourself out there and network. If we didn't do that show, we wouldn't have met those people. We wouldn't have seen heard that great music. We wouldn't have had new fans. So it was just a lesson to just put yourself out there. And then the bonus thing is bring in others. If you're doing an event, have somebody open for you, or have a couple of people open for you, or have, collaborate with someone else if it's a business, products or something. You just never know, because their audience could like some of what you do, or you can have new fans or new clients or whatever. So, it was just a great learning experience. It was a great night. It was great music. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. It was a really wonderful time. Now, I posted a lot of pictures on my Facebook page. So you can go to my Facebook page. Hi, everyone. Hi, is that Doc? Thanks so much. I need my glasses, but Doc, thanks so much for coming in. But it was a really great experience, and I'm glad we did it. Who knows? I think something else is going to come out of that. We had made some good connections. But you just have to put yourself out there, and it was a lesson that no matter what it is, how big, how small, put your best foot forward, put yourself out there, and good things will come. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. I posted on my page when I was announcing I was coming on that if anyone had any birthday shout outs, we're going to start to do that here on Singing Tips Live during the announcement section. I didn't see anyone post anything, but if anyone have any birthdays they want to put it in the comments, please do. I want to wish everyone who has a birthday today a happy birthday. We will do personal shout outs, so if you I think I'll post it ahead of time. Maybe I'll post it like Friday before, just if anyone has any birthday shout outs. I did it last week, and it was a nice thing. There was a lady who signed my website, and she asked for a shout out. And I was like, you know what, that's a good thing. So we will start having our birthday shout outs here on Singing Tips Live during the announcement section. So if you have a birthday and you'd like for me to shout it out live, please let me know. I have a new 60-second singing tip that's featured on the latest Ramsey Unleashed podcast. I posted the link on my Facebook page, but his website is Fraser, FRASERR1.podbean.com. The link is on my Facebook page. You can go to benitacharles.com. That's my website. And it's also in my blog section, so you can click on the link there. My latest music and my video and everything is, and all my social media links is on my website. So if in doubt, you can always go to my website and find out where I am and what I'm doing. I wanted to also thank my listeners, because on Spotify I have 1,573 monthly listeners, which is so awesome. Thank you so much, because I had checked most of the time it was 12. So I checked one day and I was shocked to find that it was 1,573. I wish I knew how that happened because I would like to repeat that. But thank you so much for going to my Spotify page and listening. My Never Ever Give Up video has 1,465 views. And as I said before, we will start birthday shout outs. So if anyone has any birthdays they would like me to shout out during the show, we will do that during this section, the announcement section. So thank you everyone so much for your support of Singing Tips. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much of your support of my music, the band that I'm in, Preach Men in the Revival, my band, the Benita Charles Trio, and my recorded music and my Singing Tips show. You guys are so awesome. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead coming up. I hope you have a wonderful evening tonight. Thank you so much for the love. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time on Singing Tips. But I just wanted to share my experience at Blackhorn 51. Who would have thought that I would like heavy metal music? But good music is good music. And if you bring it, it's going to show. Always do your best in everything that you do. And I want to thank you guys so much for your support. I will see you next time on the next Singing Tips live show. Hi, cuz. Thanks so much for coming in. I'm about to leave, but you can catch the replay on everything that I said. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I will see you guys next time on Singing Tips Live.